Welcome to the bedbug apocalypse. "100 years ago, bedbugs were everywhere.
Back in the turn of the century, 1 out of every 3 Americans were dealing with a bedbug infestation.
Then, in the late 1950s, they disappeared. People lived bedbug-free, and they forgot about the tiny parasitic insects that once plagued the nation.
They weren't a problem. They were something you didn't have to really think about.
But now, they are back.
Having reports of them in movie theaters, in our retail stores.
You could find them on the train, on the plane.
You can get them in high-end hotels. They're everywhere.
Today, 1 in 5 Americans has had or knows someone who has had bedbugs. The insects are spreading at the fastest rate in recorded history.
If we never deal with bedbugs, pretty much you can be guaranteed that you're going to take bedbugs home with you. You are going to know 10 people, 100 people in your circle that have had bedbugs.
So what, if anything, can be done about the problem? This is the story of America's war on bedbugs. It's thought that last year, around 15 million people in the United States contracted bedbugs. And every day, more and more families are waking up to find they've become prey to blood-sucking parasites.
I kept thinking, I'm the mom and I need to take care of this.
Today, 20% of Americans admit to having or knowing someone that has bedbugs. And in notorious hotbeds like New York or Cincinnati, the numbers are even higher. The situation is out of control, and it's getting worse. In the last 2 years, cases nationwide have jumped 500%. The parasites are so pervasive that even the farthest reaches of the nation are affected.
One of the challenges is that there's really nowhere to hide from the bedbugs. They're everywhere.
In parts of Alaska, bedbug infestations are up by as much as 1,000%. Even here, the blood-sucking critters are destroying businesses, homes, and families.
This story is about the Edwards family, a family of 6 who was planning to move from Anchorage to Homer. They stayed in a downtown motel in Anchorage so that the kids could finish out the school year.
I got bit by bedbugs.
Dozens and dozens of bites.
We spent all the apartment money and everything trying to take care of this.
Out of money and out of a place to stay, they spent the night
In the hospital parking lot.
You're homeless.
Completely.
It feels like bedbugs are a brand new thing, but they've been with us since the dawn of time.
Humans and bedbugs have been living side by side for thousands of years. European history is littered with tales of the parasitic pests. But it wasn't until around the 17th century that bedbugs arrived in the U.S. As people migrated across the Atlantic, so did the bedbugs.
In the United States, 1 out of every 3 Americans were dealing with bedbugs.
Then, in the late 1940s, there came a crucial turning point in the battle against bedbugs. The arrival of a powerful new pesticide that nearly wiped the critters off the map for good. Its name, DDT. In the 1940s and 50s, DDT was used extensively to kill agricultural pests, mosquitoes, and household insects like bedbugs.
It was the miracle go-to way of killing insects, and it worked beautifully.
Between 1940 and 1970, almost 700,000 tons of DDT were used in the United States.
It was a brand new world. Now you could live bedbug-free the whole year round for the first time in human history.
For a brief moment, people forgot that bedbugs even existed. But history would prove DDT to be a double-edged sword. Millions of bedbugs were killed, but a few developed a resistance to the pesticide and survived. Over time, this brood of mutant superbugs began to breed.
And then we start hearing rumors. And by the year 2000, it starts trickling in. 2 or 3 a year, then 20, 50.
No one knows for certain why bedbugs reemerged so suddenly in the late 1990s.
Something's happened in the last 10 years, and we don't know what, that's caused them to have this huge resurgence.
One theory is that an increase in international travel could have sent bedbugs back to the U.S. Another revolves around the banning of a slew of household insecticides in the mid-90s. It's thought that these pesticides had been keeping bedbugs in check, and when they became unavailable, the insect population exploded. But one thing's certain. Today, bedbugs are extremely difficult to kill. Anne is a stay-at-home mom in Connecticut with 6 kids.
We live in kind of a rural town in Connecticut. It's a really great place for kids.
In 2008, Anne made a horrifying discovery. Bedbugs had invaded her home.
When I flipped up the bed skirt, we had generations of them. It was gross, and it was in my bed.
She called an exterminator who gave her some sound advice.
The pest control man told me that I needed to wash every piece of clothing in my entire house.
The dryer is very good for eliminating all stages of bed bugs.
The appointment was about 4 days away, and I needed to wash everything. I definitely wanted his treatment to work, so I just plunged in. Everything that I couldn't justify taking time to wash and bring back, I just threw away.
She was so determined to be rid of the bugs that she threw out one of her most prized possessions.
I actually threw away my wedding dress because I didn't know how to deal with it. It would be something that was pretty big and bulky. It was sad because it was a dumb reason to throw away a wedding dress, but at the time I just needed to handle this and take care of it so we could go back to our normal life.
But 2 weeks after the pest control treatment, Anne's daughter was still being bitten. One way to detect bedbugs is to use a bedbug sniffing dog that has been trained to detect the scent that bedbugs give off.
Well, the dog cleared all of our house except our bedroom. I wasn't handling it, and it wasn't being taken care of, and I didn't know how my little kids could go back to their normal lives. So it was pretty devastating.
2 months into the ordeal, Anne decided something drastic needed to be done.
I needed to get us back to our life. The amount of work I was doing and the stress I was putting myself and the kids through, it couldn't go on.
She decided to pay a pest control company $10,000 to have their entire home treated. Today, Anne considers her home bedbug free. But the thought of reinfestation is never far from her mind. 10 years ago, the number of bedbug complaints logged by New York City stood at 100. In 2010, the number of complaints had risen to 31,000. The bedbug apocalypse is upon us.
This problem is big, it's growing, and it's going to be with us for a while.
The bedbug's ability to find new hosts is only half the story. What they do when they infest a new location is breed. In just 12 months, one pair of breeding bedbugs can spawn a population of over 250,000. It's not just the numbers that are shocking.
One of the most puzzling things about bedbugs is the way that they mate, and they do that using something called traumatic insemination. And so every time a male mates with a female, he has to literally punch a hole through her skin to get his sperm inside her.
The female recovers quickly, and within 24 hours, she begins to lay eggs. One female can lay up to 500 eggs in her lifetime.
When it's time to lay eggs, she can lay them anywhere she wants. They're sticky, and she can hide them in places that they would never be found. USA, 2011.
Billions of pesticide-resistant bedbugs are spreading across the country, and getting rid of them seems nearly impossible. In 1945, a single dose of DDT was all it took to kill a bedbug. Today, some bedbugs can endure over 250 doses of the equivalent pesticide.
One of the challenges is that we don't have a magic bullet to kill all the bedbugs.
Almost 70% of all bedbug infestations require 3 or more treatments, and the costs can be exorbitantly expensive. Last year, Americans spent more than $250 million trying to get rid of bedbugs. The United States is at war with bedbugs, and the bedbugs are winning. One reason for the insect's success is that bedbugs are perfectly adapted to survive, even when food isn't plentiful.
Bedbugs have a life history strategy that works very well for what they do because they can go long periods of time without feeding and just stay dormant and survive and wait.
Lab tests prove that bedbugs can live for as long as a year and a half without feeding. But most bedbugs don't need to wait this long. No one understands this better than Dr. Louis Sorkin, an entomologist at the American Museum of Natural History. He keeps a colony of bedbugs for study. But every bedbug needs food. And for Sorkin, there's no better way to feed them than to roll up his sleeve.
The way I feed them is invert the jar on my arm, and they can put their mouth part, their stylets, through the holes.
Drawn to the warmth of Sorkin's skin, the bedbug colony quickly gravitates towards their meal.
They pick up the odor of the arm. They would have picked up carbon dioxide from me breathing. Bugs that are already on top of the jar have started to feed.
Bedbugs leave behind a painful, itchy rash. And when 1,000 bedbugs feed at once, they leave behind a giant welt. While they aren't thought to transmit disease, recent research shows some do carry dangerous pathogens, including MRSA. But outside the lab, bedbugs can be attracted to their food source from up to 100 feet away. It might seem like humans are fighting a losing battle, but there are ways to fight back. Trained dogs can help with detection by sniffing out the bugs. Carbon dioxide vapor can be used to flash freeze the parasites. And in spite of their apparent invincibility, bedbugs do have one fatal weakness.
The Achilles heel of bedbugs is heat. They cannot survive high temperatures. And so if you can get the temperature above 120 degrees for a sustained period of time, they have no mechanism to deal with that excess heat.
Up until now, humans have been using heat to kill bedbugs one by one. But can heat be used to fight bedbugs on a larger scale? Cincinnati, Ohio. A team from Gold Seal Pest Control is about to treat an infested 5-bedroom home. The house has a sizable bedbug population. In order to kill them all, the team will raise the temperature in the house to 140 degrees. Using industrial heaters and long metal ducts, the team pumps hot, dry air into the house. But to make sure they don't leave any cold pockets where bedbugs could survive, the team has to go inside as well.
What I'm using here is a thermal imaging camera, which will help me find cold spots as well as determine hot spots.
The sudden rise in temperature disturbs the bedbugs, and they begin to emerge from hiding.
This bedbug here is starting to experience disorientation. Up here, we're finding very small nymphs moving, and eventually they'll all come out and simply desiccate or dry out and die.
When the interior of the house reaches 140 degrees, all bedbug movement stops.
And at 140 degrees, they're dying within minutes. They're dying before they even know what's hit them.
This method is one of the few ways to destroy an entire bedbug population in just one day. America, 2011. Welcome to the post-apocalyptic bedbug world.